All right, thank you, and welcome to the Simcoe County District School Board Program Standing Committee of Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. We will start this evening with our land acknowledgement of traditional territory, and that will be read tonight by Superintendent Peter McLean. Please.
Good evening, everyone. Simcoe County District School Board acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people. The Anishinaabe include the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people.
Thank you. Now, please rise if you are able for tonight's national anthem, courtesy of Barrie North Collegiate Institute. Thank you. We will now have our statement of respect read by Superintendent Peter McLean. Please take it away.
The Simcoe County District School Board is committed to creating a culture of belonging, engagement, and success for all through deliberate actions and an intentional focus in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Simcoe County District School Board of Trustees will conduct meetings in an inclusive, respectful manner that upholds the principles of respect for human rights and allows all members, staff, and guests to participate fully regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, age, ability, and gender.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We will have our roll call tonight. All good. And we do have regrets from Trustee Rafiq. Moving on in our agenda, I need a motion to approve the agenda. Who would like to do that? Thank you, Trustee Lloyd. Seconded by Trustee Strawn. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. Next, do we have any declarations of conflict of interest? There are never any declarations at program. Oh, well, we gotta ask. All right, moving on. We do not have any presentations or delegations this evening, unfortunately, and we do not have any items for decision. However, we do have some items for information, some staff reports. First, we have the role of the Elementary Learning Center in supporting students with special needs. And for this report, we have Superintendent Jacobs.
Thank you, and through the chair to the table, I'm pleased to provide an update on the role of our elementary learning centers and their impact on students with special education needs across the Simcoe County District School Board. These centers are a cornerstone of our inclusive education strategy and align directly with our strategic priorities in well-being, diversity, equity, and inclusion, community, and excellence in teaching and learning. They serve as hubs for individualized support, collaborative planning, and access to specialized services such as speech and language pathology, psych services, and behavioral intervention. During the 2024-2025 school year, 86 of our 89 elementary schools, along with Elmville District High School and Stainer Collegiate Institute for grades 7 to 12, operated one or more learning centers. Each center supports up to 16 students identified through the IPRC process and partially integrated. In total, 1,071 students received direct support through this model, not including those accessing small group instruction or self-regulation support outside the formal framework. The Learning Center model promotes student independence and achievement while ensuring access to the Ontario curriculum through accommodations and modifications. It also plays a vital role in transitions between schools, programs, and educational panels. Looking ahead, we will continue to evolve the model to meet emerging needs, expanding access to specialized supports, enhancing professional learning for staff, and deepening partnerships with community agencies. Our goal remains clear: to ensure every student receives the support they need to succeed in an inclusive and equitable learning environment. Thank you for your continued support, and welcome any questions or reflections.
Ooh, does anyone have any questions or reflections? Oh, we seem quiet today. I, of course, have a question. Now, Superintendent Jacobs, have you ever worked as a teacher in a learning center?
Yes, I have.
Oh, excellent. I thought maybe you had. Would you be able to kind of just walk us through what a typical day may look like?
So it wasn't in this board, first of all. And so, again, it can vary on the student population that you're working with, right? So in terms of if you're able to focus on remediation in language and mathematics, but a lot of the times, too, it's also for regulation, so especially around behavioral interventions. So it could be literacy, it could be numeracy, it could be regulation strategies, learning skills. It could be a variety of different things, but it depends on the students you have.
Thank you. I'd just like to follow up on that. You'd mentioned that there are 16 students and then perhaps others coming in for regulation or small group activities, and I'm just wondering how that works. It's not just 16 students in the whole school. Is there different classes and different blocks? Just because you said there was like 1,000 students. So I'm just trying to get an idea, because you're saying these are hubs, just to get a better sense of, you know, how busy they are and maybe if there's any pressures on them or that kind of thing. Because you said there's one at each school, and I pretty much one at each school. You know, and the concern I always hear is we need more spaces for that. So I don't know if you're able to speak to how we utilize this space and how many students, like in a school, would potentially, it wouldn't just be 16 for the day, right? Please go ahead.
Sure, and to the chair. Through the chair to the table. So again, some schools have more than that, right? So you could have larger schools where they could have two. So we have 18 schools that have at least two and at least one that has three. So again, it depends on the needs. When they are IPRC'd into the program, it's for 51% of the day. And so that's where they're withdrawn into the learning center. So every school is designed with a learning center in place. And then the teacher that would be assigned would also go into classes as well as an expectation. Now, if they have more than one learning center, they could possibly be there for the duration of the day, but working with different students as well. So that's typically how it works. But there is a kind of withdrawal strategy that can be used, or a resource model where they could go into classes as well.
That's very interesting. Thank you for that. We have another question. Excellent. Trustee Armstrong, please go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Superintendent, in regards to brand new school openings, I just think, would there also be a challenge with our learning centers in regards to equipment? Because we always know with new schools, you know, the libraries, for instance, aren't as fully equipped as established schools. So is that a funding challenge that that you have to take equipment from other schools, or usually is there enough specialized equipment going? Is it going with the student, or is it just part of setting up those classrooms? Because I know they can, you know, especially if you want to have a sensory room. I don't know if every learning center has a sensory room or not, but the cost of some of those things. So I just wondered, setting up brand new schools, what challenges are there, or are they there's really no challenges? Just your opinion.
What an excellent question. Please, Superintendent Jacobs.
So through the chair to Trustee Armstrong. So there's a lot of collaboration that takes place within the special education department, but it also involves planning, enrollment, business, and facility. We want children to be successful when they go to schools. Horseshoe Heights, as an example, our newest addition, it opened with a learning center. It also opened with an autism spectrum disorder classroom. Typically, our learning centers don't come with the sensory classes, but our ASD classrooms do, and a calming area as well. And when students move into it, so the SIA equipment that might be attached to them would go with them to the new room. And if it's a new student as well, we make sure that they're provided with temporary equipment as well. So we do have kind of access to, computers or other sensory equipment that we can get put into that. Through business and facilities, there is a budget to acquire some of these things, especially around ASD equipment as well. So we like to get them off to the right start.
Excellent. Do you have a follow-up, Trustee Armstrong? All right. Any other further questions? Okay, I have one last question, Superintendent Jacobs, before I let you out of the hot seat. You mentioned 51% of the day of students with IPRCs. Not every student that has an IEP has an IRPC. And so I'm wondering how student centers or learning centers serve kind of these students, or do they? Please go ahead. So the Identification, Placement, and Review Committee, if they're formally identified in the Learning Center, they are IPRC'd into that Learning Center. So it could be up to a maximum of 16, it could be less, but we do like to use our Learning Center teachers, and they could be working with other students as well. Some of the things that, we're always trying, and it can change too. So we do have a few schools where we're trying to pilot more of a primary kind of Learning Center model that may not be IPRC'd, but the key strategy that they might be working on is around regulation strategies. Just so that they're able to attend and realize maybe if they need a break, to take a break, and those types of things. So sometimes that's actually explicitly taught in those situations. Okay, I just want to make sure I understand. Thank you for that answer. So we don't have any students that have IPEs that don't have IPRCs, correct?
So you can have an IEP without an IPRC. So we try to support students with IEPs, even though they may not be IPRC'd, into one of our learning centers. So okay. Again, that's at the admin team works closely with the special ed staff in their building so that they can plan and strategize the best supports for students in that building. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Any further questions or reflections, comments? Student trustees, you got anything? Sorry, I won't put you on the spot. Well, thank you, Superintendent Jacobs, for the great report. And we will move on with our agenda. Oh, you don't get to move, I see. Still on the hot seat. Yeah, you are. Our next report is OFIA Healthy Schools. And again, we'll turn it over to Superintendent Jacobs, please. So through the chair to the table, I'd like to share the hot seat and invite Principal of Student Services, Christy Reynolds, to join me at the table. Welcome, Principal Reynolds. We're happy to have you. So we are pleased to be here tonight to share the results and impact of the 2024-25 OFIA Healthy Schools Certification Initiative across our board. This program continues to be a powerful vehicle for advancing our strategic priorities, particularly in the areas of well-being, diversity, equity, and inclusion, community, and excellence in teaching and learning. It's a clear reflection of our commitment to fostering inclusive, health-promoting environments where all students feel supported and empowered to thrive. OFIA initiatives are clearly documented in our school action and equity plans. This year, Simcoe County District School Board led the province in participation. A total of 104 of our schools earned Healthy Schools certification, more than any other board in Ontario. Of those, 102 achieved gold status and 2 earned silver. That's an extraordinary accomplishment, and it speaks volumes about the dedication of our educators, administrators, and community partners. Collectively, these efforts reach over 57,000 students with meaningful student-centered health and wellness programming. Schools selected health priorities that were responsive to their communities. Mental health was the most common focus chosen by 86% of our participating schools, followed closely by physical activity and healthy eating. The range of activities was impressive and diverse, from wellness nights and movement clubs to nutrition programs and anti-vaping education. These initiatives were strengthened by partnerships with public health units, local police services, and Indigenous organizations, among others. Educator feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, with 95% of respondents reported that the initiative had a beneficial impact on student health and well-being. 70% observed a stronger emphasis on wellness within their schools, and 65% noticed improvements in inclusivity and student engagement. These outcomes reinforce what we know to be true. When we prioritize student well-being, we create the conditions for deeper learning, stronger relationships, and more vibrant school communities. So, looking ahead, our goal is to have all schools registered and certified. We're also exploring ways to align this with eco-schools and the synergy between sustainability and student well-being. I want to thank the board for the continued support of this important work. It makes a real difference in the lives of our students, and I'm proud to be a part of a system that leads with care, purpose, and innovation. So I'd like to now pass this conversation over to Principal Reynolds.
Through the chair to the table, I'm very proud to highlight the exceptional work happening at Asikanak Public School through the Ophia Healthy Schools Initiative. Their dedicated team organizes events around student, staff, and community wellness and meet regularly to plan and lead a wide range of activities that promote mental health, physical activity, and inclusive engagement. Each school year begins with collaborative planning alongside central staff and community partners, setting the tone for a vibrant and responsive school culture. Extracurriculars include cross-country running, flag football, volleyball, basketball, track and field, and clubs such as our Ophia team, DEI, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion team, Battle of the Books, Lego Club, Mindful Coloring, Math Games, and Glee Club, to name a few. Staff are deeply committed to fostering a safe and inclusive environment where well-being, physical activity, and healthy living are central to the school's culture. Community events like the Fall Fair, Winterfest, movie nights, game nights, and family fun nights foster strong school-family connections. Student voice drives the school's programming. Surveys have led to the return of learning buddies and the creation of new clubs such as the Primary Lego Club, Mindfulness, and PALS. Older students take on leadership roles, mentoring younger peers, and contribute to initiatives such as character education assemblies, tree planting grants, and food donations. Outdoor education remains a priority, with enriching experiences at Scanlon Creek and the Low Elements facility here at SCDSB. Outdoor learning is embedded in Asikanak's daily practices. The School Ophia team organizes many school community events. The Terry Fox Run, Bellette's Talk Day, and Mental Health and Wellbeing Week are celebrated through outdoor activities. The school's gardens and outdoor classrooms, supported by families and school council, offer meaningful spaces for exploration and connection across all grade levels. Winterfest is a signature event, bringing students and families together for seasonal active fun. Monthly Asikanak days and Fridays, where staff and students wear yellow and black, reinforce a strong sense of belonging. Last year, every staff member received a Team Kind t-shirt, and students had the opportunity to purchase their own to further strengthen their school identity. Asikanak's commitment to wellness, inclusion, and student voice exemplifies the kind of school culture we strive for across SCDSB. One where every learner is empowered, every family is welcomed, and every day is an opportunity to grow together. Thank you.
And we'd be happy to take any questions at this time.
Excellent, thank you. Who has a question? Trustee Lloyd, please go ahead.
Thank you, and through you to our presenters. It's not really a question, but I just want to congratulate you, because when I talk to parents, or you talk to students at events, and when you visit the schools, you can see the positive work that's being done, and you can see the impact it's having. And I think we've strived to increase our participation and our certification with OFIA, and I think it's been a very, very positive step for all of our schools. It gives purpose to the students. They understand many of the things that help them at school or in their daily lives. And so I just think it's something, I know I was very supportive of it when we started the initiative, and I think we're seeing the results of that, and I would hope that we would continue this moving into the future. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Trustee Strawn, please go ahead.
Thank you, and thanks for the presentation. You mentioned that much of the activity is student-driven and led, and I'm just wondering who in the school community helps to lead the students so that they're empowered to be leaders and to make these decisions. And then my second question is, what role does the parent council have in this project?
Ooh, excellent questions. Who wants to answer?
I'll take it.
All right, thank you. Superintendent Jacobs, please go
Through
ahead.
the chair to Trustee Strawn. So school council is a big part of it as well. I've always found school council to be very supportive of FIA initiatives. What we try to do is develop our grade 7 and 8s, and I'm just speaking from my experience from a few years ago. We'd have our 7 and 8 students as leaders, leading activities for kindergarten to grade 6. So it could be like a winter fest that a Sikanak also hosted. It could be the play day games that they play in the spring, summer time of the year. But we really wanted to promote that leadership. And in terms of OFIA and the ratings and the points that they'd enter into the dashboard, the more you can have students leading, you actually get more points for it. So, and there's also staff involved, so they're not just left to their own devices. But when you can get community partners, parents, and students, you get more points for the students. That's why there was a big push to have students leading, especially the younger.
Through the chair to the table, may I add? I just wanted to say that something we've done at a Sikanak for the last couple of years is we've developed a relationship with our home secondary school. So their leadership team has come over to a Sikanak and kind of help lead and mentor our grade 7 and 8 and OFIA team members. And that's been a really successful partnership to bridge secondary and elementary together.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Do you have a follow-up, Trustee Strawn? All right. Anyone else? I want to read this Team Kind. Let's see if I can do it. Did you write this? In a world of chaos, it is hard to see light. It may be hard to find the positive side. But even in the darkness, light can still thrive. Just take a deep breath and say, I'm on Team Kind. I love that. Should I continue? It's so good. Sorry, did you want to comment? Where did you find this? Is this something unique to your school, or is this a broader initiative? Principal, please go ahead.
Through the chair to the table, one of our students last year in grade 6, Aidan Bedard, wrote this poem. He was inspired by our initiative of having Team Kind representing at our school with our T-shirts, etc. And he wrote this poem on his own accord, and we were very proud of him.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to read the rest of it then, since one of our students wrote it. In a world full of chaos, it takes courage to stand alone, to love when there's so much hate, to make kindness grow. But never lose hope, and you will soon find that you're no longer alone. You're on Team Kind. No negative thoughts are in your way. No struggles or sorrows can ruin your day. You're strong and brave because you see light. Look how you've come. Look how far you've come. You're on Team Kind. Wow. I love that. I feel like we should share that with all of our schools. That just really embodies so much well-being and belonging. That is fantastic. Thank you for bringing all the pictures and sharing your great success in these efforts, and keep up the great work. And please give our thanks to Aiden for writing this great poem. Any other questions? All right. Well, we'll say thank you and let you get back to your evening. And we'll move on with our agenda. Next on our agenda is 2024-25 Assessment and Cumulative Tasks and Feedback, Recovery, and Improvement Days. And I'll turn it over to Associate Director Maltby, please.
Thank you. And through the chair of the table, if I might invite Principal Pino and Assistant Superintendent Dashney to join me.
Yes, Assistant Superintendent Dashmi and Principal Pino, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Before you use a report outlining the final iteration of our culminating task and feedback recovery improvement days, the Student Achievement Department, in consultation with the OSSTF Working Group, has finalized the SCUDSB culminating task days so that these days are meaningful to students and staff, and most of all, provide fair, transparent, and equitable assessment practices as outlined in Growing Success and Board Policy. These days now include, just as a refresher, a focus on feedback to students on their final assessments to create a meaningful learning experience rather than a one-off task that they never see again. Feedback being one of John Hattie's educational researcher top effect size for student achievement. Also include a focus on the purpose of assessment as laid out by Ministry and Board Policy, which is the primary purpose of assessment being student learning. It also includes more time for students to be in front of their teachers. As we know, teachers have the greatest impact on student learning. There is a focus on student self-advocacy, another research-based method that has proved to increase student achievement. Students meet with their teachers, talk about their tasks or term work, advocate and reflect on their feedback to make improvements. And finally, a focus on professionalism of our secondary staff. They know the students in front of them and their course content. They, along with the students in their class, are best equipped to decide on the appropriate culminating task for students in front of them. As you will see, this includes exams, labs, interviews, performances, a rich variety of assessments that focus on the needs of the students. We did visit schools, surveyed duty holders, interviewed students, staff, admin, and have worked closely with OSSTF to gather information for this report. This information reflects the voices of many. And with that, I will hand the microphone to Principal Pino to speak to some of those experiences.
Thank you, Associate Director Maltby. I'm going to share some feedback from secondary school administrators. Secondary school administrators reported that the culminating task schedule, feedback, recovery, and improvement days, and managing their schools worked well. They reported that students were busy working on improving their learning. They commented that it was great to see the needs of all students in the school being met. Administrators reported that all students received scribing assistance. However, at times, multiple students were being serviced at the same time. We discussed the need of scribing and how we could leverage assistive technology to ensure all students were served appropriately. Extra training for teachers and students was provided to ensure appropriate assistive technology like speech-to-text could be implemented effectively and efficiently. Overall, school administrators felt that the schedule struck a very good balance for both teachers and students.
Through the chair to the table, secondary school students actively participated in feedback, recovery, and improvement days, and a majority of students indicated that these days were helpful. They expressed their appreciation in having their culminating task returned to them with concrete feedback that provided them with the next steps to create academic goals. In particular, grade 9 students reported that feedback, recovery, and improvement days helped them gain a better understanding in how to prepare for future culminating tasks. Students also expressed that they appreciated the variety of tasks that they engaged in. They indicated that they valued the balance of exams and other forms of assessments. This provided them with opportunities to experience differentiation of assessment outlined in Growing Success. In speaking with students, they did share that there were some additional pressures when balancing co-curricular responsibilities, such as meeting practices or games while preparing for the culminating tasks. This is a concern that we will work at addressing with school administrators to alleviate this challenge for students. Overall, secondary students felt that the variety of culminating tasks and the feedback, recovery, and improvement days were a positive experience that supported their learning and academic goals. And with that, we are happy to take any questions.
Excellent. Who has a question? Trustee Foley, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you to I'm not sure who wants to answer this, but I'm wondering, out of the 120 educators at 4 schools, and we had a 43% return participation rate, is there a way that the assessment group, the sampling can be larger next time to get more people responding? Because although, you know, everything seems to be pretty good, I would think that with 43%, that's 57% of people who didn't respond. And I find that concerning. I would hope that we had a larger sampling from a broader audience to get a better idea, if that were possible.
Who would like to answer that? Associate Director Maltby, please go ahead.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Foley. So there are 2 ways to look at that. So one way is that by no response, people might be satisfied with what's happening. But in terms of the sample size, we did work with the OSSTF working group. So they chose 4 schools just as a sampling, knowing that we wouldn't be out to all 16 secondary schools. So we worked with them on which schools would be most appropriate. We chose a variety of schools. What I am confident in is that the people that responded to that survey were a variety of teachers teaching a variety of different courses. So, you know, we weren't just high on the grade 12U courses. They spanned grades and they spanned levels of courses as well. So the sampling size might have been a bit smaller, but certainly it represented the full spectrum of courses.
Do you have a follow-up?
No, thank you.
All right. Trustee Strawn, please go ahead.
Thank you. Can you just talk a little bit more about how students receive their feedback? Like in one of the paragraphs of the report, it says 95% of students who received feedback from their teachers on the culminating tasks reported that it was somewhat or very helpful. But that's 95% of what number of students? Like, I just don't know, have a context for that.
All right, please. Looks like Principal Pino's ready to answer. Go ahead.
Through you, Chair, to the table. So the expectation is that all students who write a culminating task, whether that be an exam, whether they perform in front of the teacher in the class, or they have assignments or conferences or interviews, the expectation is that they all are they are receiving feedback on that culminating task. And so when we did the survey, 95% of all students said that they found that very meaningful and helpful. And so that's just the expectation. That was the big change we made in the APM, that feedback on the final culminating task must be returned to students so they have an opportunity to see it and then, of course, improve on their learning.
Yeah, just quickly, thank you for that clarification. And I know that was something that we talked about before. And I mean, obviously, that makes a lot of sense because that's the whole point, I think, of the process and the idea. So I'm glad that students are receiving feedback and that they are finding it somewhat or very helpful. So that's good. And the other question that I had was just around attendance. It's not noted in this report, but attendance for the feedback recovery days. Like, are most kids attending school, most students, or is there variance like in grade level or even course subject, things like that? Are we monitoring that at all?
Associate Director Maltby, please go ahead.
Thank you, and through the chair to Vice Chair Strawn. So it's impossible to take attendance on that day for every school because students kind of come in and out. So a student may attend to receive feedback on one course or do improvement on one course as opposed to all four. So they might not be there all day. Some might be there all day if they're working on several different improvement projects. So we don't have a way of tracking. I know that Principal Pino and Assistant Superintendent Dashney were at the schools. Certainly the attendance much higher on the first day of feedback and recovery improvement days than it would be on day 3. By the time you hit day 3, the students are there to work on assignments and make that improvement. So there would be some, but certainly the attendance was higher. But I wouldn't have a number for you. There wouldn't be a way for us to track that.
All right, thank you for that. Do we have any other further questions? All right, I have several questions. Where to start? Okay. So it says here that the main reason was to improve their final mark. 55% used recovery and 32%, no, of the 55%, sorry, I'm just, the second last paragraph, I'm not really understanding what it's saying. It's saying 32% did recovery, so that means 32% after they had done their cumulative assessment had failed the course, and they came in to approve their mark, and 13% did not fail and used it to improve their mark. Is that, am I interpreting those numbers correctly? Please go ahead. Associate Director Maltby.
Thank you, and through the chair to you, Trustee Bice. So not really, no. So of the students that attended those days, the main reason for 55% of those students reporting that they were at the feedback recovery improvement days were main reason, or sorry, people that responded to the survey, the main reason was to improve their final mark. That was 55%. 32% of students were there to recover. So you're right, they may have missing assignments. They may have been not achieving 50% yet in that course, so they went to recover that credit or start the process of recovery of that credit. And then finally, 13% reported just going for feedback. But it's important to note that in order to improve or in order to recover something, you need feedback. So they're working closely with their teachers during that time to understand why they may not be passing the course, or they may have gone to just improve their grade.
Thank you, Associate Director Maltby. I just want to make sure that I understand completely, because I find it quite concerning that 32% had failed this course, that we are then allowing them to start the recovery process with their regular teacher. So there's no meetings as dictated in Growing Success, and no collaboration, and all those like processes required to formally enact feedback. Those are happening, or they aren't happening in these cases? Sorry, I just want to be really careful, really understand what's going on for the public. Thank you. Please go ahead.
So to be clear, this is not credit recovery that is happening during this period of time. However, a student who may be missing several assignments and may be heading towards credit recovery has an opportunity to come in for 3 days to catch up on many missed assignments so that they're not overloaded during that credit recovery process. And they do work closely with their teacher, the one that's teaching the course directly, in order to start that recovery process. So doing missing assignments, improving on expectation they might have missed.
And then if I can add through you, Chair, to the Chair, the meetings that you're referring to are referral meetings that we have at the schools will happen after that. And so the nice thing about 3 feedback recovery improvement days is, like Associate Director Malpe said, it's an opportunity for students to get ahead of getting on top of assignments that may have been missed or assignments that they didn't do so well on. The one nice thing about these days, like he spoke about, is rather than being potentially doing most of that work with a credit recovery teacher who may not know the student when they come back in September, this is the teacher of the course with that student, and so some of them are able to complete what they need to be successful in the credit. Others get some things done but need to continue in September, but they do have those 3 days to spend with the teacher. But those referral meetings will happen before the credit recovery course actually starts in September, so that policy is followed.
Thank you for clarifying that. I guess I want to follow up again. I guess what I really want to know is how many, to me, I'm a little worried about, when you fail something, you really pick up your socks. And I'm worried that we're not letting students fail and have that consequences. I get what you're saying with the recovery. It makes sense to start that process. What I want to know is how many of these students, this 32%, then went on to do credit recovery, and how many of them were able to finish assignments or do whatever to then pass the course and not go into the formal credit recovery process. Please go ahead.
Thank you, and to the Chair. So to be clear, it's not 32% of students of the board. I just want to be clear on that. And sorry, can you repeat the first part of that, Trustee White?
Yeah. So I want to know is how many, right, actually go into credit recovery because they actually then fail the course. I want to know how many kids, because they are doing this, then are prevented from failing when in fact they did fail. And if we didn't have these days, they would have failed, correct? Okay, hopefully we understand each other now.
Okay, so I'm going to be, through the Chair, I'm going to be clear here. Like, we do not want children to fail. So we don't prevent them from failing. We give them every opportunity as prescribed by Growing Success and by board assessment policy to pass that course. So that can happen in a multitude of ways for a multitude of children, but we want the best from the student. We want to know what they've learned, and sometimes that takes longer or differentiated assessment for students, but we definitely want students to pass. I can say the students that show up for feedback recovery improvement days show a tremendous amount of dedication to come in on those days and advocate for themselves and make sure that they're passing that course. So we will give them every opportunity. In the summer learning program report, which is up next, I believe Superintendent Playford could answer questions around credit recovery. We do have numbers of credit recovery and credits earned through summer learning.
Okay, so you don't know the answer to my question right now. You don't know, at this point, you don't know how many would have failed if we didn't have these, and how many still failed and then went into credit recovery. Or that's in the next report. Sorry, Associate, I just want to be really clear because I am concerned about compliance with Growing Success and that we are maybe dancing in the gray area a little bit. And I want to make sure that we are doing our duty as trustees. I'm not trying to pick on you. I just want to make sure because I am worried that this is not compliant with my understanding of Growing Success and that you actually have to fail before you're allowed to do any sort of credit recovery, and that 30% has to be based on the whole course content. And there has to be agreements about how much they can recover, and maybe I don't understand the process. Please enlighten me. Go ahead.
So, as I stated before, these are instructional days. So the course is not over, at the end until the end of these days. So of course we're going to give students multiple opportunities, which complies with Growing Success. I believe that might even be a direct quote from Growing Success, multiple opportunities to show and demonstrate their learning, which is what we're doing with the feedback recovery improvement days.
Okay, does anyone else have another question? Yes, please, go ahead. Vice Chair Grummett.
Thank you, and through the chair to perhaps the chair. I think it's important to think about there's many reasons that students may be missing work, right? Unable to keep up. I think these are important days for students when we think about with challenges around mental health or poverty or other things that are affecting their learning. So I applaud these days. I think having that opportunity to come in and continue working, I don't like the idea of they're failing and we just want them to pull up their socks. So I think we have to be very sensitive and consider there's lots of things that are possibly going on for these students. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Trustee Foley, please go ahead.
Thank you, Superintendent Maltby, Executive Director Maltby. Just once again, just to go back to the point of the low participation of teachers, I find it disappointing that, you know, a larger number didn't participate, and I would ask that we reach out to our union partners and ask that they encourage their members in the future to get more involved in this, to give us a fuller understanding, because I just don't see no reason why they would not or should not or could not fill out that form. I find that very disappointing. Thank you.
Trustee Lloyd, please go ahead.
Thank you, and through you to the table. I think when we've had our research department here before, that, you know, when you look at most surveys and the standard reporting back, it's usually low and lower than that when you do a survey. We can't make people do it. We can't force them to do it. We can only encourage them to do it. And yes, we would like more, but you know, I think we've given the opportunity for that information. The other thing I think I'd like to make a point is I think it's really important in light of the chair's comments that, you know, we reiterate, as staff have confirmed, staff are compliant with Growing Success. They are following the process that is prescribed in the document, and I don't think it appropriate to insinuate otherwise when they've told you very clearly that they are following that process. So I think, you know, we have students that have many challenges in their daily life, and as Trustee Grummett has said, we have many students who are unhoused, are couch surfing, are living in poverty, have physical health challenges, have mental health challenges, and our goal and objective is to support them to meet the requirements of the course so they can secure the credit. And I think that's always been our focus, and I think that was the whole purpose of these days, was to support our students. They're instructional days. They get the opportunity to come in. We have students at work to support themselves. So I think it's really important that not all students come from just this one environment and work this way. So I think, you know, I think the results say that we're getting positive results with them. I think the information, although we might like a higher survey response rate, I think they've sort of given us the information that we need. And, you know, I think that we need to always remember that our goal here is to ensure success for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Associate Director Maltby, please go ahead.
Thank you, through the chair. So thank you for those comments. And to Trustee Foley, we continue to work with OSSTF, so we will be speaking with them. They do, on that working committee, there are teachers, so it's not just union representation. There are teachers that are involved in this process and are representing their colleagues. OSSTF also goes back to their membership and speaks with them. So when we work with them, it's not just the voice of a few staff members, a few OSSTF staff members, or sorry, OSSTF members. It's the voice of many. But we will continue working with them.
Thank you. Trustee Strawn, please go ahead.
Thank you. I should know the answer to this, but could you tell me how many times we've done this now?
Associate Director Maltby, please.
Sir, through the chair to Vice Chair Strawn. So the actual number, so I'd have to go to Principal Pino for the actual number, but I can say there's been many iterations of this. And so, if you recall, we've made significant changes based on the feedback from caregivers, from staff, from students. So this final iteration is the one that we're going to stick with. So we've done it once. We are going to stick with this because we feel that given multiple opportunities, people will settle into that routine and understand the processes much better because we have sort of jumped from iteration to iteration over the past three or 4 years. So there's been a few iterations on that.
Okay, great.
Follow up?
I do, thank you. I'm wondering, just for future reporting, if maybe we could try looking at like a baseline of before we did any version of feedback recovery improvement days, like whatever that was before, and now we've decided this is the way we're going to move forward, like we're going to try to stick with this. So like instead of, when we try to do comparisons, instead of comparing like I'll call it the pilot semesters, that we would take like the baseline from before we ever had this introduced at all, and then what's the difference now that we've implemented this. Like, I think it would be interesting to see, are more students getting credits? Are more students, even subjectively, like it would be harder to do that, but from the data, are marks in general improving, and outlining that so that we can see, I guess, more clearly some of those benefits to meeting those goals that are outlined in our strategic plan, and as well as in the ministry mandates for student success. Like, I think that would help everybody around the table to get a better understanding. And as we've had this conversation, one of the things that struck me that I never really thought of before was that this might just be another, like the feedback recovery improvement days seem like a transparent way that's inclusive, that's open to everybody to achieve things that some students might have been able to achieve in the past, but not all students were able to achieve. So if you knew how to advocate for yourself and you got a 77 in a class and you needed an 80 for your university application, you could probably figure out a way to get that 80. But if you were a disadvantaged student who was at a 47 and you needed 50, you might not be able to figure out the same way to get those 3 marks that the other student in your class was able to achieve, just because you may not have been able to advocate for yourself. So perhaps this is just adding a layer of transparency to the whole system that kind of was going on in public schools for a long time, but might not have been accessible to all of our students. And then just one final comment. I know that we didn't have 100% of teachers responding in the surveys, but I think that it's fair to say that all of our secondary school teachers are committed to the success of all of their students in their classrooms, and that they've always have been, and they will continue to be, no matter what kind of changes we're implementing from the board. I think they will always be doing their very best to make sure that students get the best learning opportunities in their classrooms, and want to thank them for doing that, and thank you for this report.
Okay, thank you. That was great. Do you have any response? No. Okay. Oh, student trustee, my eyes are failing me. What is your name?
Perry, Nita Perry.
Student trustee Perry, please go ahead.
Through you to the table, I would like to say that as a student who has been through all of these iterations of these days, I have heard some amazing positive reviews of our final iteration, and I'm sure me and my student trustees would love to bring this to Student Senate after semester 1 to ensure that we are still getting these positive reviews. Thank you.
A fantastic idea. I would look forward to that. All right, I just question, it doesn't look like we're on our final iteration because it says that after talking to OSSTF, you have decided to adjust the afternoon schedule on accumulating task days to be more, if I'm understanding this, to be more of a study period or collaborative, so you're not going to assign which classes they go to. Am I understanding? And was it like that last time? Can you just provide some clarification? Please, Associate Director.
I think, and through the chair. So this is the final iteration. We are going to stick with it for a few years to make sure that we're on the right track. I will have to say as well that particularly proud of our secondary staff who have been have adapted to the change very well. And for some, this hasn't been a great deviation from what their common practice is, but it is our final iteration for a bit. The afternoon schedule, Trustee Weiss, did change. So we have a dedicated period where students, the day before their culminating task, have time with their teacher for that culminating task the next day. So they have time to do a review, to ask questions. The second period in that afternoon is an open study period.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought, and that happened last time. Okay, just wanted to make sure I was understanding the language there. I would like to challenge you that it's impossible to take attendance on these days because you can take attendance per credit, per day. And I think that information would be very valuable as a board to have actual know how many are coming on the first day, how many are coming on the second day, how many are coming on the third day. I think when we try something new and do something different, it's really important to have very good data about it. And so I want to know, I would like to give you a little feedback on this report, that it needs to be more comprehensive. We need to understand the recovery and then how many go into credit recovery and how many students are actually, like Trustee Strawn mentioned all those great things. She really, we do need a more comprehensive report and we need year-over-year data if we're going to stay with this for a little bit. We have a duty to the public to make sure this is, right? And this has been a very controversial issue for a long time. And I would really like to ask, you keep telling me it's compliant, but can we get that in writing from the ministry? Right? Like, can we ask for that kind of letter? Because, maybe I define things differently.
Point of order, Madam Chair. I
Yes.
think your last comments are out of order. And
A
I
lot
think
of your comments were
I'm
out
going
of
to
order.
ask for orders of the day. I'm going to call for orders of the day.
All right. She's made her whatever. Is there any other questions? All right, I would like you to bring this back later. I hope that's an ongoing report we get every year. All right, we'll move on with our agenda. Next is 2025 Summer Learning Program with Associate Director Maltby, Superintendent Jacobs, and Superintendent Playford, please.
Thank you, and with your permission, I would like to invite Principal Jessup and OCT Lamondon to the table to share in this report.
Please join us. We're glad you're here. Thank you.
So the SCDSB has had another great summer learning experience this year. This is due to the collaborative efforts of several central departments under the direction of Superintendent Playford, Superintendent Jacobs, and Superintendent Webb. I would like to also say that, successful due to the wonderful staff that created and taught and supervised the students this summer. But I would like to address the table to say that it wouldn't have been possible with the support of this trustee table. We appreciate the funding that you allocated to summer learning, which opened up additional summer learning sites across the county, and hundreds of more elementary students were able to take part in summer learning because of your efforts. So I just want to thank, on behalf of the summer learning team, thank you for that contribution. We did have over 1,100 students in grades 1 through 8 attend summer programs, as well as granting over 4,200 credits to secondary students through various programs. I am going to pass the microphone to Principal Jessup, who will go over some additional highlights to the summer learning program, and then she will pass the mic to OCT Lamondon. And we did invite her to speak under the direction of the trustee table, and it was you who asked to speak to a staff member of summer learning, but OCT Lamondon happens to also be the creator of that program.
Through the chair to the table, thank you, Associate Director Maltby. I have been fortunate enough to be program coordinator for summer learning for the past 3 years, and even more fortunate to also be the principal of student achievement kindergarten to grade 8 for the past 2 years. The dual roles have allowed me to better understand the programming for summer learning sessions as well as the supervision and structure of the day-to-day program. I know that I say this every summer and every fall that I come to this table, but this summer was, in my opinion, the best summer yet for staff, students, and families alike. Having 4 sites across Simcoe County, not counting here at the board office, allowed for more students to attend one of the many sessions we offered. In addition to that, one of the biggest highlights this summer was the revamping of the existing programs, as well as an addition of a new program for students. So the Student Achievement, Math, Indigenous Education, Mental Health, and DEI central teams worked together to revamp the existing primary reading program that we had and the junior math programming to better meet the needs of students taking part in a summer learning program. This year, students in grades 1 to 8 were offered a foundational literacy and math learning program. So all students had access to both math and foundational literacy skills. The 3 hours of instruction were split between foundational reading skills and essential math skills. Students had the opportunity to work directly with their teacher in small groups using structured literacy resources, including Bug Club and UFly, as well as time exploring math concepts using real-life examples and manipulatives. The overall data collected from staff and students indicates that the combined focus was successful in supporting student skills as well as educator capacity in essential foundational learning. Another exciting addition to summer learning this summer was the Promoting Positive Peer Interactions classrooms. We had 5 classes across the 4 sites that had a teacher, educational assistant, and student mentors to support students in grade 1 to 3 who benefited from a positive school environment that focused on building rapport with others, gaining self-confidence in their communication, self-regulation, as well as academic skills. We also had the opportunity for every class, grades 1 to 8 in Barrie, which roughly translates to over 60 classes, to attend one morning here at the Education Center working on leadership and teamwork activities through the outdoor education team and spaces. Students in Orillia and Wasaga Beach, due to distance, had the outdoor education experience come to them at their sites. I would now like to pass this over to Tiffany Lamondon. So she is a district literacy facilitator who was instrumental to the team that revamped the summer learning programming. But we were also fortunate enough to have her as part of the summer learning team at Regent Park in the role of special education resource teacher for the site. So she will now share about the day-to-day program structure.
Thank you. And through the chair to the table, good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany Lamondon, and as Principal Jessup mentioned, I'm a district literacy facilitator here at the board. And I also had the opportunity of being the CERT at Regent Park School this year. So I have been involved in the development of the summer learning program for several years now. This was my first summer teaching on site. That was a really great experience for me to see firsthand the impact of our planning. It was incredibly rewarding for me, actually. A typical day in summer learning is a full morning of both literacy and mathematics instruction. So the day began and ended with a community circle, which was a really great opportunity for students to build relationships and foster a really strong sense of belonging with their peers in their classrooms. This was done in consultation with the Indigenous education team, ensuring that all the prompts were inclusive and culturally responsive. Following the opening circle, students transitioned into literacy learning. My team designed lessons that targeted system-wide trends and focused on closing literacy gaps for students who needed additional support. One key component this year was the inclusion of phonics instruction for the junior and intermediate grades, and that was based on data that we've collected system-wide. This foundational skill is often underdeveloped in older students who struggle with literacy, and the feedback from educators on site was that it was overwhelmingly positive, and teachers found it both relevant and beneficial in their classrooms. We also embedded new resources that we provided to the system last year, such as Bug Club Morphology. Educators appreciated seeing these tools in action through our model lessons. And I've actually received several emails since the school year started from educators who are excited to bring those lessons and resources and strategies into their classrooms this fall. So then mid-morning, students enjoyed a break and participated in a movement and mental health activity, which was developed by our well-being team. These activities provided much-needed reset and supported students' emotional regulation and physical wellness. The daily snacks were a thoughtful addition that students really looked forward to. So my focus obviously is on the literacy portion, but being on site helped me or allowed me to observe the math portion as well. Walking through classrooms, I saw students actively engaged in problem solving, using manipulatives, and working collaboratively with their peers. It was clear that the math instruction was hands-on and meaningful. The day wrapped up with a closing circle, as I mentioned, and for me it was heartwarming to witness how student discussions evolved over the 3 weeks. As they grew more comfortable, their reflections became deeper and more personal. So it was really nice to see that. And on a more personal note, my daughter attended summer learning this year as well. So speaking now as a parent, I just wanted to say that it was a very positive experience for her. She made new friends. She benefited from smaller class sizes and more tailored instruction. And I noticed a significant boost in her confidence over the 3 weeks. It was wonderful for me to see the program's impact from both a professional and a personal perspective. So thank you for your continued support with this summer learning program.
With that, we'd be happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions? Trustee Lloyd.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you to our presenters. It's always so great to see the opportunities that we have for our students in the summer, and I think the keen interest is showing us that there is a demand for these programs, and parents want these programs, and our students benefit significantly from these. And it was great that we had the number of students participate that did. However, that's only a very small portion of our student body. So my question is around the funding and how we fund these, what ministry funding we're getting to run the summer programs. Because, you know, I think our minister has lots to say right now, but I think that, you know, these are programs that we're seeing results from. Our students are seeing them, our parents and families are seeing them. And they're a significant investment in our students and their success. So maybe Associate Director Maltby, you could just sort of give some idea of where the funding is, where it's at, how much we're getting from the ministry, and how much sort of we're funding from our regular funding.
Associate Director Maltby.
Thank you. Through the chair to Trustee Lloyd. So there was actually 3 sets of funding that we drew from this year. So one set of funding is dedicated towards summer learning that we use each and every year. The second source of funding that was really, I think, instrumental in kind of growing things was a mental health and well-being funding that gets assigned to boards. I believe it comes out in May. and that has to be spent during the summer months. So it was a natural sort of combination. You heard staff speak about integrating mental health into the summer months. We were able to draw upon that for that site, for those additional sites, and to ensure additional students were the opportunities available to additional students, and then of course the funding that the Board of Trustees voted to contribute as well.
Trustee Armstrong? Do you have a follow-up, Trustee Lloyd? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And so has the ministry, thank you for that update, I very much appreciate that, but has the ministry increased the funding or increased the investment in summer learning that, you know, or is it a stagnant amount of money that we're getting? And if you don't have the answers for my questions tonight, I'm fine to hear after about it, but I'm just wondering if they're continuing to invest in this or it's sort of at a plateau.
Thank you.
Please, Principal Jessup.
So through the chair to the table, I'm pretty sure my math is accurate on this. So the pockets continue to be roughly the same. There were increases related to the increases in salaries and those types of things. I think what's interesting this year was the 2 years prior to this, when it was the special education envelope for students either through transitions or summer programming, as well as the basic budget, the GSN. So one was $120,000 and one was $199,000, put those together. The bump from the mental health, which was just under $300,000, as well as the money that was left over from the envelope that the trustees provided for the academic supports as well as summer learning. We doubled the budget this year and were able to meet the needs of that many more students. So I would say, although the funding remains similar every year, the way in which we're able to use some of the funding, because we have built this program that really does draw in on Indigenous education, DEI, mental health, math, student achievement, we're able to use different pockets of funding. And I will say that Director Stevens, Associate Director Maltby, this table recognizes the value of summer programming. And so the conversation this year really was, how do we make it what we want to make it? And I know that Superintendent Samus always said the bigger the better, and that has continued on with everybody who's sitting in this room. So last year we had, I think, just over 900 students. We had close to 1,200 this year. So we saw, I think it was over, like just under a 40% increase. And I believe that's due to finding the funding in other pockets based on the language and how we managed to work the program to work the money.
Thank you for the creativity.
Did you have another follow-up? Okay. Trustee Armstrong, please, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you to Superintendent or Associate Director Maltby. The credit recovery students, I see it was only 3 days, July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Just that's a very compressed. But I also see, and I'm kind of assuming that most students would just take one credit course. I don't know if they could even take, how could they take two? So anyway, the number is probably well over 90% of the students who are going to take that recovery courses are going to be successful. So that's really impressive. I think that's something, you know, that a lot of students should know. If you take the summer program, you're very, very high rate of success. So I think that's really, really encouraging to see. But I just wondered, what is the 0.5 of a credit? Is there? That seems a little strange. I don't know. I didn't realize there was 0.5. So.
Associate Director Maltby, please go ahead.
Thank you, and I'll pass the mic to Superintendent Playford.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Armstrong. We do have two courses in the board. One is civics, one is careers. They are both a half credit. When students are in grade 10, they take that. So we split the semester into terms. So 1 term, 2 terms in a semester. So they take 1.5 credit and then the second 0.5 credit to get a full credit. So to the point of the board, sometimes students are not able to attend for some reason. So they may miss a 0.5, and that's when they can. You're welcome.
Excellent. Vice Chair Grimmett, please go ahead.
Thank you, and through the chair to, I'm not sure if it's Superintendent Playford or Associate Director. I just have a question about when a secondary student takes a course with a different school board. Can you just clarify what is our role, or does it completely get changed over to the other school board? And is this something that is communicated when the student is registered with our guidance?
Superintendent Playford, please go ahead.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Grumman. So when students register for e-learning course, they register at their home school. And then if they are part of our board, so the guidance counsels them, gives them information on what it's going to look like through the course of what e-learning looks like. If they end up with another board because either the ones we are running are full or we don't offer something, then they are actually become a student of that other board. But when if it's our student, so guidance has that conversation, then they're given a welcome email with the same information, maybe a little bit more on how to go through that process. For those who don't know, they're usually D2L shells with teacher support, et cetera. But if they get picked up by another board, it's pretty much the same process, but they're a student of that board. So there will be some differences. Sometimes it's the way the detail shell works or looks like. It might be, their assessment, how they do assessment. They do the report cards and all that kind of stuff. So they actually register as a member of another board, and then whatever they get from that board, I'm hoping it's similar to us, but I don't know because it's actually coming from the other boards across the province that might be in that system. You're welcome.
Did you have a follow-up? All right. Do we have any other questions? Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to our guests. Number 2, we have the minutes of the report of the public session of the Safe Schools Committee held June 3rd, 2025. I'll turn that over to Superintendent Young, please.
Please find the minutes for information.
My apologies. I thought you had something to say about it. Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments on those minutes provided? All right. Well, thank you very much. Next, correspondence. We don't have any. Other matters. We have an other matter from Superintendent Van Ispen. Please go ahead.
Thank you, and through the chair to the table. This past Monday, September 8th, we received a memo from the Ministry of Education, much anticipated launch of the 2025-26 Capital Priorities Program, something that we've been waiting in anticipation since probably the May-June timeframe of this year. As anticipated, reading from their memo, the ministry has been working closely with school boards, municipalities, and other key partners to transform the education capital system to build modern schools faster, better utilize school capacity, and enhance accountability and transparency. Projects selected for funding in 2025-26 will reflect these priorities by demonstrating a need to meet an accommodation pressure or replace a school that meets certain conditions. In addition, the ministry will continue to assess and score proposed projects' readiness and use of standardized design. So this is a continuation of what we've seen the last two calls for priorities. And as anticipated, the benchmark that's been put to school boards is school boards are asked to provide evidence of project readiness, assessment. Priority will be given to projects that are best positioned to be completed in a timely manner. Submissions will require details regarding sites planned or acquired, design plans with cost estimates, and a clear schedule with project milestones indicating a path to project completion. Again, as anticipated, the ministry is continuing on their shovel-ready focus on projects being submitted. The only surprise that sort of came with this was the short timeline for submission. We do have an October 8th submission deadline, so a very tight turnaround. However, staff have been and continue to work on our various projects and gathering of the information. That being said, we will be bringing a report directly to board at the end of September with the list of staff's recommended priorities that we submit that we feel will meet the shovel-ready initiative of the ministry and hopefully be successful in attracting more funding for the accommodation needs of the board.
Well, happy news indeed. Thank you for the update, Superintendent Van Ispen. Do we have any questions or comments? Trustee Foley, please go ahead. No, you have another other matter? Okay. Does anyone have any comments on the call for capital priorities? All right, I have a question. Superintendent Van Ispen, about the call for capital priorities. Will the new elementary school for Alliston make the cut? Do you anticipate? Oh, yes. Director Stevens.
Thank you, and through the chair to the table. So this was just information. We will bring the full report with the list, which will be debated and discussed at board.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun. Very excited for the capital priorities as always. All right, any other matters? Trustee Foley, please go ahead.
Thank you. Just to let you know, I'll be going on educational next week. I'll be going to the ICE strategy multidisciplinary training workshop, which will be dealing with human trafficking, resources surrounding human trafficking, identification, observation, and reparation. So just to let you know.
That is wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Trustee Foley. I believe we had a request for a presentation about the human trafficking and stuff to come to program. We made that at the end of last year. Director Stevens, do we have that on the schedule? Have a presentation from one of our community partners for program?
Yeah, thank you, and through the chair to the table, we'll go back and review what's on the agenda. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll look at that and make sure that it's coming forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Perfect. Any other matters? Seeing none, do we have any notices of motion for next meeting? Seeing none, I don't have anything for closed session. Is that correct? That is correct. We'll move on. And now I need a motion to adjourn. Motion moved by Trustee Wilson, seconded by Trustee Foley. All in favor? And we are adjourned. Thank you very much.